Honestly, I think takeaway that you can do whatever you put your mind to. I mean, coming in as a freshman, I knew that I wanted to hit the ground running with internships. I didn't know what a resume was. I didn't know what LinkedIn was at that point. I locked myself on a computer lab with a couple of friends for a weekend and we made resumes and we made LinkedIn accounts. We went to the career fair, all able to get some like internship offers after our freshman year.
Hi, I'm Emma Zareen, your host and a 16-year-old engineering student, policy enthusiast, and hopeful future STEM school survivor. Welcome to She Persists. Before we dive in, I just want to take a second to say how grateful I am for each of you. Every listen and every bit of support genuinely means the world to me. When I started She Persists, it started as a little dream to share real stories of young girls in STEM who are challenging norms, finding their place, and inspiring change. Seeing that idea come to life has been so rewarding, and honestly, it's just the beginning. If you've been enjoying these conversations, I'd love for you to be a part of our community by following this podcast. It's one of the best ways to help us grow, share even more incredible stories, and connect with a wider audience. And I hope the conversation doesn't end here. I hope you carry these stories with you and let them be a constant reminder that your voice truly makes a difference. In today's episode of the She Persists podcast, I'm joined by Isabel, Boncher, and Riya Desai from the University of Michigan Mars Rover team, where they're building a rover that competes in international competitions designed to simulate real Mars missions. Throughout the episode, we talk about what engineering at Michigan is actually like, how they got involved with Mars Rover, and the projects they've worked on ranging from robotic arm redesigns and CNC machining to crash safety testing at Toyota and internships with Boeing and VAST. They also share some of the behind-the-scenes chaos from rover competitions, what it's like leading a 200-person engineering team, and their advice for girls interested in STEM and robotics. I loved this conversation because it wasn't just about technical skills, but also learning through failure and finding your place in engineering spaces. So with that, let's get into it. Here are Isabel and Riya. Isabel and Riya, welcome to the She Persists podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys here with me today. Would you guys just start by introducing yourselves and telling me a little bit about what you're working on the Mars Rover team?
Yeah, I'd love to. First of all, thank you for having us on the show today. I'm really excited to be here. So my name is Isabel. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering at the University of Michigan, and I serve as the president of the Michigan Mars Rover team. And what that is we are the Mars Rover team where we build a Mars rover here at the University of Michigan, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and my name is Riya. I'm a sophomore studying mechanical engineering here, and I serve as the current external relations officer for the team, and I'm also the incoming robotic arm lead. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's so great to meet both of you guys, and I'm really excited to hear more about the projects later on in the episode. Right now, I'd love to hear, so you guys are both in Michigan engineering, and it has a reputation for being extremely rigorous and intense. So what has your experiences been at Michigan engineering?
Yeah, I definitely say it's really like, as they say, work hard, play hard. It's a top program, so you do have to expect the level of rigor that would come with a top engineering program, and it's definitely there. The classes are difficult, but you learn so much from them. Looking back to where I was freshman year when I came in, I feel like I've developed into an engineer through these classes and through my work on the team. I think it's really impressive all of the different like side programs they have, like how all the project teams connect to the curriculum, and stuff like that, and that really makes the degree what it is.
I definitely agree, and like Isabel said, the project teams and the courses really just kind of feed into each other because of like all of the opportunities I got as a freshman on the team to like learn and whatnot. It definitely made classes easier in that I had some experience with those topics previously through projects on the team. And then obviously courses are going to go a lot more deeper into the theoretical knowledge behind a lot of the decisions we make. So that like informs even better decision making on a lot of our systems. So
Yeah, and
yeah, it's like it's definitely work hard, play hard, and we love it.
yeah, and I really
Yeah.
like that point that you brought up about like the projects bringing in experience, making that easier for like the classes and how you handle those experience, especially for like experimental kinds of things. I think projects and hands-on experiences and actually being able to see how engineering's working in the real world can definitely be super beneficial. But yeah, so there are a lot of student organizations at UMich. What made Mars Rover stand out for you guys, and what made you guys join?
So as a freshman coming in, they have this really big like club fair in the fall called Festival. And I knew that I wanted to get involved on campus. I was really involved with my clubs I did in high school and stuff like that. I didn't do robotics in high school like many on the team or in engineering did, but I knew that I wanted to get involved with some sort of project team. So I went to Festival, which is a big club fair, and I picked out a couple of different teams I was interested in joining, and then went to their mass meetings just to kind of get a little more information about the team and then I ended up really liking what, like, Mars Rover had to say. I liked the people who were there, and it just really seemed like a great atmosphere, and we get to build a Mars Rover, I mean, how cool is that? So
Yeah, and, coming in as a freshman, again, festival was huge. I mean, every single freshman, like, tries and goes because that's the best way of learning more about what's here for us to, really take advantage of. Coming in, I was, like, super into space exploration. I started off as an aerospace major, so it was either NASA, which is the rocketry team on campus, or Rover for me, and like, interacting with the 2 teams, the culture on Rover was, like, so welcoming, especially my freshman year, there were so many women on our leadership team, and, like, really seeing that representation mattered to me because I was like, "You know what? I could picture myself in their shoes 2 or 3 years down the line." So that was, like, one of the biggest reasons why I joined. I always knew I would do a project team, but that's, like, what informed which project team I would end up picking. And kind of going back to the robotics thing that Isabel mentioned, Rover is like the largest robotics team on campus. And as someone who did high school robotics, it was like kind of an obvious decision. And like a lot of first robotics students end up joining Rover once they get to college. So there's definitely a strong correlation there.
it was actually funny, I remember, being one of the few people who helped recruit Riya onto the team. She came after the recruiting meeting, and she was had a list of questions ready to go, was like, wanted to make sure there was a female representation on the team, and I'm like, "Don't worry, we got you there." So, it's really exciting just to, like, pass the torch on to the next generation, and, I mean, our team has grown so much over the past couple years. We now have over 200 members, which is really exciting and helps contribute to our status as the largest team on campus for robotics.
Yeah, that's huge. Wow. Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about it. But I'd love to talk a little bit to each of you guys individually and hear about some of the work you guys have done. Isabel, are you okay to start?
Yeah, I'd be happy
Yeah,
to.
awesome. So you've done two co-ops at Toyota, one in prototype development and assembly, and another in crash safety. Those are pretty different worlds. What did each of them feel like day to day? What were some of the projects that you worked on, and what surprised you the most about each of them?
Yeah, so after my freshman year at the university, I was able to get my first internship at Toyota, and it was in the prototype development department, which was really exciting. And honestly, I loved it. We got to work on so many like cutting edge projects and stuff. We also had a big, and I can talk about this now because it's been unveiled, but we worked on a specialty like one off car for the SEMA car show, which is like a national large car show. It was really exciting being able to help make a specialty one off vehicle for that. My mentor was like leading the project, so I got to shadow him around a lot. And I actually got to help with some of the accessories for the vehicle, and it was really exciting. And I'd be happy to send you the link if you want to look at a picture of it after the show, but it came out really cool. And even though they unveiled it like after my time there, it was just really cool to like see something I worked on display and really be able to utilize more of like my design and project management skills on a day-to-day basis. Then the following summer, I did return to Toyota and I decided to take a internship co-op in crash safety, which was a little bit different. That one was more data focused. We ran crash tests and did a lot of like data analysis and stuff like that. So that was kind of using some of my other engineering skills, while prototype development was like more design and project management type focused. So it was really good, kind of like juxtaposition of being able to learn what I like and I don't like in engineering, and being able to practice my skills for both of those. So it was really cool. Also, if you want to check out the prototype development project, it's the 2024 SEMA Land Cruiser ROX, which was really fun to work on. And feel free to look at my LinkedIn. I believe there's a picture of it on there as well. But yeah, I mean, I just think that like having internships in kind of not exactly the same area, but like varying fields within engineering is really important because it teaches you about other sectors than the one that you will eventually end up in.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, especially with engineering being such like an interdisciplinary field. Having that knowledge and being able to like know how each section of it works, especially in something like a vehicle, prototyping and then seeing how crash safety is working with that and really do go hand in hand. So I think that's really cool that you had those two different experiences and were able to kind of see both sides of it. But at Toyota, for the crash safety work especially, you were analyzing real vehicle crash tests and then working across multiple different engineers. And you got selected out of 80 co-ops to represent Toyota at a conference. So, what were some of the things that you think helped you stand out at this internship and kind of helped you get this role?
I think it's really important as an intern to just be devoted to learning everything. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions is really the big thing. I remember my freshman internship, I had very little experience. I mean, like I said, I didn't do like robotics in high school, and I was just going off of like my freshman year of classes, and pretty much all my experience came from just participating in Rover my freshman year. So I was going off of that, and so I was really nervous coming in. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm not going to know anything." But don't be afraid to ask those questions. And that's what your like mentors are there for. Everybody there really wants to help you when you're a student as well, just in any field in general. And being able to like take your notes, write them down so you don't forget them. I always carried a little notebook with me to like write down like acronyms or notes just so that I'd remember what I have to do. Getting to know your coworkers as well is so helpful because they'll help you out, like they'll point you in the right direction. They'll help you like if you're struggling with a computer program and stuff like that. And yeah, so I mean, I definitely enjoyed my time there, and that's why I did go back for a second year.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you made also to not be afraid to ask questions. I think a lot of the times it can be intimidating to be like the newest one in the room. But I think, we often overlook the fact that people also do realize that we are new to the space or like you don't have experience and they're always excited to help and help like the next generation of people who might be working at the company someday learn about all of the work that they do and all the experiences that they've had. So yeah, but separately, you're the CTO of a startup building a device to assist with the Heimlich maneuver, which is a very specific and meaningful problem that's so important in a lot of people's day-to-day lives. So where did that interest come from?
Yeah, that's just like a small kind of like side project startup that I'm involved in. It actually spun out of I have a minor in entrepreneurship. And then one of my entrepreneurship professors pointed me in the direction of a classmate whose mother like had a patent on this idea and was trying to help turn it into a company and stuff. But they needed a technical person. And so she kind of connected us and it ended up working out pretty well. And I worked on like FEA analysis and SolidWorks mockups, as well as just like creating prototypes for like testing the amount of strength it would need to perform the Heimlich with different like prototype devices and stuff we had. So just like generally putting my engineering skills into like developing products. So it was a really good experience. And yeah, that's kind of how it got started. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think oftentimes some of, the best experiences or opportunities just kind of come from anywhere. So it's really important to always just say yes to the opportunities that are presented. But that's really cool that you have that project as well. Um,
yeah, just making
yeah.
connections, like, with your professors and, with other engineers around you, it leads to so many opportunities that I think a lot of people miss just because they don't take that little bit of extra time to
Yeah.
get to know those they work with as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. So this summer you're heading to VAST for mission assurance. That's a really big jump from automotive to commercial space flight. So what drew you in that direction? And is that something that you think you're hoping to continue to pursue?
I wouldn't say it's a really big jump. I'd say it's just a switch in industry. I've done automotive for the past 2 years, and like I said earlier, that's kind of what internships are for, is, like, learning what you want to actually do after graduation, and I want to, like, make sure I got a variety of experience in different fields so that I ultimately do know what I want to pursue after graduation. So this summer I looked into the aerospace industry, and I ultimately landed at VAST, which is really cool. I'm excited for mission assurance, and I think it could be right up my alley, but I mean, they're launching the first commercial space station, like, later this year, so that's really exciting to be a part of during, like, a crucial time in the company's history.
Yeah, and VAST is like at the forefront of a lot of the aerospace innovations that are happening right now. So that's really cool that you're there, like you said, at such a crucial part of the company's history. But yeah, congratulations on that internship, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really exciting. I think it will be a bit of a jump. I'm just moving from industry to industry, but also, like I said, while I'm still an intern and I have the ability to gain these different experiences, like that's something that I want to do.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's always such a crucial skill for an engineer to have is to be able to, use the technical skills that they've learned in one sector and then apply it to another place and then be able to also experience different opportunities and kind of like put their feet in different boats. But yeah, I think that's really cool. And you're doing all of this while also running a 200-person robotics team. So that's incredibly impressive. But yeah,
It gets to be a lot sometimes, but it's definitely worth it at the end of the day just to be able to gain all these different experiences.
yeah. Yeah, but Ria, I'd love to talk to you. So you're a little bit newer to UMich, but you moved very fast on the team. So when you came in as a freshman, you very quickly got your hands on a lot of the real manufacturing that was happening. You've personally machined more than half of the arm's CNC parts. Yeah, that's crazy. But for someone who's never heard of a CNC machine maybe before, what does that process look like for you from beginning to end?
So, like, my experience was a little different because, like I said, I came in having done high school robotics. So, just for a little bit of context, I was the mechanical lead for my high school robotics team. And we had this big CNC machine. For those of you who know what the Haas company is, it was one of their CNC machines, CNC mills. And because of how expensive that machine is, guess who was the only person who was allowed to run that machine? Like a really experienced but sort of old mentor. It was like very much a no students are allowed to touch this thing sort of a situation. And like coming in to college, I was like, you know what? I want to get to the point where I feel comfortable using CNC mills like that. And I talked to our president last year, who was our Haas user, and I was like, you know what? I want to do that. And we came up with a plan and we got me on the Haas track. So it was a lot of time, a lot of effort, and the way things work at the Wilson Center, which is our workspace and machine shop, is all students get trained on the very basic manual mill or lathe, and they have to get 30 hours on the machine to be nominated for operator. And once you're nominated for operator, you can get trained on the CNC mill or CNC lathe. And it's the same process where 30 hours and then Haas. So I'm finally a Haas user now, but like that first week stepping into the team, I knew that I wanted to be on that track. And me, Isabel, and Chloe, who was our president, we worked together to make sure I got the experiences and the hours and the parts necessary to make that happen on time. So like that's why I got the experience I did because I like made it clear that that was my goal at the end of the day. And everybody on this team is like so willing to make sure that you get what you want and that you learn what you want to. So yeah, that was sort of my experience.
That's awesome, and congratulations on being a Haas. And I'm
Thank you.
I'm on an FRC team right now, so I can speak to how important CNC mills are.
Huge.
Yeah. No,
Exactly.
they're a
Yeah.
lifesaver, but yeah, that's
They
awesome.
really are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's always cool to be the one who knows what's going on and
Yeah.
to be the one running those machines, and I'm, like, finally at that stage.
Yeah, and I think something you said about setting that goal early for yourself and being very intentional about how you're approaching it.
Yeah,
That's so important to be able to, like set out a clear track and know exactly what you need to do to accomplish a goal. So I think,
exactly.
yeah, that's great that you were able to, set aside that time and, now you're a host. So congratulations.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, thank you.
but yeah, what was the first part, if you remember, what was the first part that you ever machined on the CNC?
On the CNC, I remember my first part for both the manual mill and the CNC, but on the CNC, so we've got a cycloidal joint on our robotic arm, so we've got a 5 degree of freedom robotic arm. And our sort of elbow joint is a cycloidal drive. And the first CNC part I machined was the output shaft for our spare cycloidal gearbox. So we try to keep spares for everything that could potentially break at competition. And it just so happened that the time we were manufacturing our spare cycloidal was the time I just got CNC trained. So that was like the first part I made on the CNC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's really cool. But
Yes.
so this summer you're heading to Boeing, which is that's huge. Congratulations. So, what do you think helped you get there and what are you hoping to walk away from the internship learning?
So I think Rover has a lot to do with what helped me get there. Like I strongly believe that I've learned the most through this team. Like, of course, courses taught me a lot, but just having the opportunity to apply that to a hands-on project is what like really got me there because I was like able to talk about really just the critical thinking process. And I think that's like what's so important, knowing how to identify a problem and like break through it. Um is something that they valued. I will be a production engineering intern this summer, so what I'm really hoping to get out of it is, like, finding out and figuring out whether it's really for me. I think with mechanical engineering, there's just so many things you can do with it, and internships, I think, are, like, the best way of finding your niche within the degree and, like, really finding what type of engineering makes you happy to the point where you're willing to do it for the rest of or for a good portion of your life. So that's like what I'm really hoping to get out of it. Also, like an end goal of mine is like one of the big space startups out in LA. And I think Boeing is just like one of the stepping stones that hopefully will get me further along that journey.
Yeah, that's really cool. And internships are huge. Like being able to have that experience at like a starting level and just being able to grow as an engineer while you're there and learning so many new skills.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'd love to talk a little bit more about Mars Rover now, because that's really, a big thing for both of you guys. So, out of school like Michigan, we talked about this. You guys ended up joining Mars Rover because of your interest, but what is like the culture of the team and kind of like how does the team work with 200 people?
Yeah, so a little bit of just, like, how our team operates, I'd love to just give you a brief overview. So we have our team broken down into several different branches. So we have our mechanical branch, our electrical branch, our science branch, our software branch, and our business branch, all of which control kind of like, as the word says, those specific operations and assembly and design of the rover, which is really exciting. So, like for example, our mechanical branch oversees the manufacturing, the design, and like the analysis and stuff of all of the mechanical systems on the rover. And generally, if you haven't seen what the rover looks like before, it looks very similar to like a rover that you would actually see, like the Perseverance rover. We have like a drive system, our like main chassis body of the rover with a bunch of like custom electronics. I mean, we do our own custom PCBs on the electrical side inside the rover. And then we have our our 5-degree robotic arm mounted on the chassis, or our science system, which can drill into the ground to get a soil sample. Generally, we design for like 4 missions. So autonomous, where the rover can autonomously navigate the desert, traversing the terrain and avoiding obstacles while going to like preset GPS waypoints. And then detecting like various objects like a hammer or a rock pick. We have our science mission where we drill into the ground, we get a soil sample, we bring it up on board the rover for onboard chemical testing, looking for signs of life. Our equipment servicing mission, where the robotic arm on the rover has to basically do all of the dexterous tasks that an actual astronaut would have to do, pressing buttons, flipping switches, retrieving like a vial, putting it in a container, putting the container in a drawer, lifting 5 kilograms, and even autonomously typing on a keyboard. And then we have our delivery mission where we go through a little bit of like an obstacle course and are able to like find and retrieve various sized objects. We also have a drone to help us with spotting in this mission, which is really cool. So kind of the team focuses on like designing for those kind of 4 main elements. And then we go through a design process of like 1 year. In the fall, we have our design reviews and stuff like that. And then in the generally winter semester, we manufacture and we do our testing. And I know that's not quite what you asked, but it's important, I think, to know kind of how the team operates and is set up and to be able to talk about specifics.
Absolutely. And like going off on the different branches that our team is composed of, like yes, it's 200 members, but once you break it down into branches, it gets to be like 40, 50 maybe. And then each branch has their own sub teams within them. So once you get to the sub team level, you're looking at maybe a group of 10 to 12 people that you work really closely with. Um, So, like, it does feel like a tight-knit community once you, like, break it down in that way. Like, yes, 200 is a lot, but realistically, you're not interacting with the entirety of the 200 at once. It definitely doesn't feel that overwhelming and large.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say coming into the team is they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many people, how am I ever gonna find my place?" But then, like Rhea said, each of the sub-teams have a smaller group working on a specific project, and they're able to gain, like, hands-on experience with that. A lot of the newer members too, they focus on their sub-team specifically, and less so, like, the integration across sub-teams.
Yeah, and I can imagine that your rover would have, like, a lot of components to, like, have all of those different sub-teams and then only have, like, 10 to 12, like Rhea said, per sub-team within the sub-teams. Yeah, that would definitely make sense to have, like, a smaller community within the community. But so how does competition work for you guys? Like, are you guys competing against different, schools in
Yeah.
the area? Or yeah, you can just talk a little bit
So,
about that.
it's actually an international competition, so we compete in 2 competitions every year. We go to URC, which takes place in Utah, which is an international competition. Over 120 teams from around the world actually apply to attend competition from over 18 different countries, and only about 35 are actually selected based on their systems acceptance review package that they have to submit to get accepted into competition, which is basically like a technical overview of the rover and their systems. And so that's really exciting. We actually just got our official acceptance into competition this year, which is really exciting. We've got really high hopes for that. And then our second competition is the Canadian International Rover Challenge, which takes place in the beginning of August in Canada. And we go to attend that, and only about 20 teams are allowed to attend there. So they're both international competitions, and we compete against teams from all over the world, making it really exciting.
Congratulations that you guys qualified, that's huge.
Thank you.
And then, so Isabel, you went from member to arm lead to now president of the entire team. What has changed along each of those steps, and kind of like what have you seen in these different roles?
Would you say more so, like, on the team side or on my specific growth side?
Yeah, for both. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, coming in as a freshman, I think you're really just focused on growing your own personal skills and really learning the basics of what engineering is. Like, for example, how to use CAD, how to do, like, machining or basic analysis, and just how the team works as well. Like, what we design for, what the competitions are, what, like, requirements are, and really breaking it down, like, in terms of the whole design cycle. My sophomore year, I was able to become robotic arm lead, which was really exciting, and, that definitely stepped it up a little bit. All of a sudden, you're not just learning how to, be able to do all these things, especially, like, alongside your classes. You're suddenly leading a large group of people, and you're teaching them how to do all these things that you just learned yourself, like, the year prior, and, I mean, luckily, you get a lot of practice on the team, but suddenly you're in charge of project management, you're in charge of making sure the whole system works and being able to see the overall picture rather than just like a small specific part or project. And then I'd say again, this year it zoomed out again. Now as president, I kind of have to have my hand in like every pot and then be able to do a little bit of everything from the technical side to the project management side to the logistics side. And so I think every step you take up that ladder, it really just like zooms out your perspective. And especially like it comes with more experience, I think. The more time you really spend on like developing your skills, the easier it gets as you like take these steps up to be able to juggle all of the different balls that you need to.
Yeah, and again, I just want to say congratulations on that role. That's really huge to be president of a 200 member club. So, yeah, that's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really exciting because 'cause I'm actually the first junior, to hold this position. Usually it's a senior or a master's student, so that's really exciting for me personally. Yeah, and then also our last 5 presidents have all been women on the team, so
Oh
that's
my
exciting as
gosh.
well.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. But
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah. Well, Ria, you're now stepping into the arm lead role. So, what are you the most excited
Yes.
about?
Oh my goodness, everything. So we're at this point where the arm, like the 2026 robotic arm, works really well. And we know it works really well because we're testing it right now. So the stakes are high and the stakes are low at the same time. And that my plan is to hopefully change every single joint on this arm and make it better. We're at that point where like the only way to make it better is to like scrap the entire thing and start over. But the stakes are low in that if it doesn't end up working, we've got a robotic arm that works really well. So that's like our contingency plan. But yeah, I'm like really excited because we've got some really good designs that we're picking and choosing from for next year. So yeah, we're currently like brainstorming potential designs for every single one of the joints, and it could go in any direction, and that's like both scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm
But
glad
yeah.
you mentioned that. So you're redesigning the base rotary joint, and then you've expanded the range of motion by more than 75%. What was the main problem that you were trying to fix here?
So that was what I worked on this past year and isn't what's happening for like the upcoming year. But the biggest problem we had was that rotary joint was one of our limiting factors in the arm's performance. So its previous range of motion was like only 45 degrees. And that can like really limit the configurations your arm can go in. So one of our competition sort of requirements that we design towards is the fact that the arm has to lift a 5 kilogram payload. And because of the limited range of motion of joint B, which is what we call our base rotary joint, our arm is in a really bad position while it's lifting that 5 kilogram load. And as a result of that load and the arm being fully extended out, it like sort of creates a huge moment on your carbon fiber segments. And our segment basically cracked as a result of that load. It was not fun. It like, yeah. So, because of the extended range of motion that this new design gives you, you're able to cut down on your segment lengths. And because you're able to cut down on your segment lengths, the moment at each of your joints. So, moment is basically like torque. So lever arm times force. And if you like decrease your lever arm, the torque felt at each of those joints is a lot less. And it goes through a lot less stress, which is good because then it doesn't break. Sorry, that's like a long winded non explanation, but like that's the best I can do right now. It just helps you shorten your segments down and it's just better for the rover and the arm in general.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's really
sorry.
exciting that you guys got like a robotic arm that's working better now and is able
Yeah,
to better
exactly.
support like your
Yes. Yeah.
competition challenge. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when
Yes.
you're actually at a competition, what does that environment look like when you guys walk in? So like kind of how do these competitions work and where are you like getting samples from? Where is your rover actually like working? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for our upcoming competition at the end of May, our University Rover Challenge, like I said, it takes place in Utah at MDRS, which is the Mars Desert Research Station through NASA. So it's basically as close to Mars as you can get on Earth. So very Mars-like terrain, like rocks and soil, kind of like trying to resemble what you see on Mars, like as close as you can get. And so they have these like big open areas full of dips and cavities and rocks scattered everywhere, just like the surface that you may have to like traverse with an actual rover on Mars. And then they set up the course like on it. So for equipment servicing, they have like a mock lander that they set up on it that is similar to like what we would have to repair. And then for the science mission, they have like sample sites marked specifically throughout the course. And then our operators are actually like they are not allowed to see the course, so they're solely operating the rover through camera feeds. So they're kind of sequestered away, usually like in a tent or like a closed like room or something, a sort of set distance away from the rover. And then we have like our base station and our base station antenna set up to be able to wirelessly communicate comms with our rover as well, and just to be able to communicate with it across long distances. Other than that, I mean, it's just kind of you let the rover loose on the course and you follow the requirements and your set strategy the best you can.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what's been the most chaotic moment from a previous competition, if any?
Oh boy. Maybe we both can take a turn answering this.
Oh boy, indeed. Yes.
Rhea, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, at our Canadian competition this past year, there was a mission where almost every single one of the joints on the arm just broke, just stopped functioning. Not all of the problems we faced were mechanical. So joint CR cycloidal drive, that was a mechanical issue, but also a software issue that we had to troubleshoot. But it's like always challenging when you like get to the mission site and you're like, wait, everything worked 10 minutes ago when we were testing, and now it just doesn't. So, like, trying to troubleshoot that, especially in a high stress, mission's about to start sort of environment, can get chaotic, to say the least. There was also a really chaotic but funny moment. Our last mission, we scored the highest score there. So it was like a good mission. But turns out we were like going through that entire mission while being down a wheel. So for context, again, like Isabel said, our operators are in a base station and cannot see the rover whatsoever. So the only like visuals we get are the camera streams from the rover. Now we don't have any cameras pointing down to our wheels, and turns out one of our wheels just like fell off, and we just didn't know. So we're like, we just keep drifting to the right. We don't know why, and we just like kept full sending it. It worked. I don't know how it works. It can operate. So like it works. We still have 5 wheels on the ground. We just didn't know we had 5 wheels on the ground. So we scored our points. Yeah, it was like a competition high, but it was like a fun chaos instead of a stressful chaos.
I remember I wasn't, like, part of the personnel for this mission, but I was watching it from the sidelines, and I was standing next to the judge, and he was just like, "Can you see this?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I see this. This is quite funny." But we were able to set a world record in that mission. It was kind of like, a, like, retrieval mission where we had to retrieve various items and identify them throughout, and so that was really exciting, but that was definitely a big challenge. Like Riya was saying, though, I'd say the name of the game is, like, reliability. The best teams and in the world, our team, I mean, you can build the best rover, but if it's not reliable, you miss out on so many points. I mean, I've seen that happen to so many rovers, is it works up until, like, 5 seconds before the competition, and then suddenly you're like, "Why am I getting all of these CAN errors for our software?" Or anything like that, and I went to URC last year as well, and besides a couple really intense moments, everything mostly went well. Our last, Canadian International Rover Challenge, we had a lot of issues with our rover, just being, like, reliable at competition. We had to disassemble it completely to ship it there, which I think may have led to some of these errors, but to our Utah challenge, we drive it out there, but it's kind of hard, international borders and all that. So, I remember there was several sleepless nights in a row working on the rover at competition. A couple of our, software guys, like, laid down to catnap alongside the rover in our workspace at one point. There's a really funny picture. Yeah, I remember at one point, I'm like, "I need an hour of sleep." I went out to the car and just curled up, and I'm like, "I need an hour of sleep."
Yeah, no, and I think what you said, like, one of the biggest things is also being able to adapt to those challenges as they come along. Just having a good rover is great, but Ria, like you were saying, you guys noticed it was drifting, but you guys were still able to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
We had a great driver that year
yeah.
too. He just like kind of he just went for it. We're like, okay,
I
you know?
mean, you guys got it done, so and you set a
Yeah,
world
and
record
that's
while
what
doing it.
matters.
Yeah. No, and I
Exactly.
can
Yeah.
totally relate to what you guys were saying. Being on, like, a first robotics team, like, there's been so many times where we're in the pit working and everything's great, and then we get on the field and it's like, "Can issue, can issue, can issue," and we're just like, "What just happened?" Yeah, but yeah, no. But being able to adapt to those challenges and just do the best with what you've got. Yeah.
Definitely shows the dedication of our members as well. I mean, everybody puts in so many hours every week
Yeah,
to the team, and just because they're passionate about what it is we do and they
exactly.
wanna see it succeed. So you definitely see every time you walk into the pit, there's somebody there. Some people have been in there for a very long time, but yeah, it's definitely cool to see the team come together.
Yeah, I know, and passion goes so far, just enjoying what you're doing makes you wanna stay there for longer and just keep working on it, so, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But for these next couple of questions, it's just like a rapid fire round, so just give me, like, your first thought, don't overthink it. So the first one
Okay.
is, what's the best class you've taken at Michigan?
Oh, I'm taking this like structures course, ME311. I love it. It's really hard. My grade isn't that great, but it's like really interesting stuff and I like it. Yes.
For me, ME 250 or 350, basically those are our hands-on team design classes, where you get put with the team and you have to, like in ME 250, it's design a small robot to accomplish a set amount of tasks, and 350, it's like a linkage system to be able to target, like, different, targets with the flashlight and stuff like that, and I really just enjoy those hands-on group-based classes.
ME250 is basically just FTC. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait,
I
that's
think that's
cool.
why I didn't enjoy it as much because it's, like, nothing new, but
Yeah.
yeah, ME250 is just FTC.
That's cool, that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. What is something that you wish you had known before joining Rover? I know, it's a bit of a hard question.
I will never get a weekend to myself ever again.
Free time is
Yeah.
gone.
Free time is gone.
Yeah, that's a good one, that's a good one. If you couldn't be an engineer, what would you be?
An artist. I'm super into painting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We actually had a, girls', Rover robotic paint night last night, which was really
That's
cool.
so
So we
fun.
had all the women on the team come together for some bonding, which was
Oh
really
my
nice.
gosh, yeah, that's awesome.
For me, I'd be a lawyer. I almost did. I was very close to considering it. At one point, I thought about making a pivot and going towards patent law. Ultimately, I am really happy. I am very happy with, like, the path I've chosen to take, and I'm really excited to just stay with engineering,
Yeah, that's awesome. What is your favorite thing that you've built either on the team or personally?
the robotic arm.
I wanna go with, like, joint B, which is, like, the rotary joint we were talking about earlier on the robotic arm, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
robotic arm lead, I worked a lot on the end effector as well for the arm, so, like, the claw that actually grabs things, so probably that.
That's cool. And then last one, what is the one thing that you're the most excited to work on this upcoming season or just right now?
Like I said, we're hoping to redesign the entire arm, but I'm, like, super stoked about personally getting to work on the elbow joint, joint C. I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in the midst of trying to get all of our competition logistics done and helping our chief engineer out with strategy and personnel for competition. But after URC, I will be stepping into the role of a little bit of retirement, moving into a senior advising mentor on the team, which is really exciting. Basically, I'll be helping the mechanical branch out with training their members, any design work, doing design reviews for them, any advanced calculations they need, just being able to like provide that support.
Yeah.
But also have a little bit more free time, which I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a couple last questions, but they're a little bit more reflective. So, when someone listens to this and hears your story, what do you hope that they take away from it?
I can go first. Like, I think I'm still on the younger side, but if anything, I feel like that shows that it really doesn't matter regardless of what experience you have. Like, you can do hard things for sure, and you can have a great time doing it. Yeah.
No, I think that's such a great message. I think a lot of the time, like, people can feel limited if they're younger and be like, oh, that opportunity's, I'm not ready for it yet. But Isabel, like you were saying, you're the first junior to hold the presidential role. So that's just, if you put that work in and, it doesn't go unnoticed. And it really does take you far to just put in that effort. And, even if you're younger. But yeah, I like that.
Honestly, I think take away that you can do whatever you put your mind to. I mean, coming in as a freshman, I knew that I wanted to hit the ground running with internships. I didn't know what a resume was. I didn't know what LinkedIn was at that point. I locked myself on a computer lab with a couple of friends for a weekend and we made resumes and we made LinkedIn accounts. We went to the career fair and we were all able to get some, like, internship offers after our freshman year, and then being able to hold the positions I have when I have, like, on the team and stuff like that, I think it really just shows that if you want something, just put your mind to it and you can make it happen. Just being able to put in the work and put in the time, and it will work out. So I think it's really exciting. Looking back on what I've been able to do, I mean, just like this team has contributed so much to my growth over the years, and it will be exciting next year to focus more on giving back to it.
Yeah, and just to, like, add on to it really quickly, the work hard, play hard mindset is so worth it, and I so recommend. And, like, hands-on experience is, like, the best experience you could ever get.
I agree. No matter what it is, I'd highly recommend everybody going into, like, engineering that they join some sort of project team or a hands-on project. It really develops your skills as an engineer, and I've been told so many times that, like, when you look back at the time, you'll reflect and you'll be like, "This is where you became an engineer," and I feel like that's so true looking back on it. This is the moment in time that I developed these skills, and I can say, looking at that specific project and this team, it's really where, like, I did become an engineer, so
Yeah, no, I love that. What's one thing about being a woman in engineering that you wish more young women knew?
It's hard. I mean, sometimes no matter if it's like school, like being in class or a meeting, you'll look around the meeting and you might be the only women there. And sometimes you realize it, sometimes you don't. And I think it's important just to be able to seek out like support and being able to make those relationships so that you do feel that you have support all around you as well.
Definitely, and, like, it's definitely true, like, there are so many meetings where you will be the only woman in the room, and that's not great, but it's okay, and especially on Rover, there's, like, so many other women around you, like, there will always be a support system that you can find, and also, it's so important to find female role models around you that you can just, like, look up to. Because if anything, they can show you that it truly is possible. So, like, really just seeking out those connections and that mentorship is especially important when oftentimes you're the only one who looks like you in a particular room. It, like, really just helps your self-confidence in so many ways, and you totally deserve to be there too. Like, you wouldn't be there if you didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't be afraid to, like, speak up as well when you're in these rooms or in these situations, like, your voice is heard and make sure that it is heard, and make sure you feel like you're valued no matter what the situation is, I think is important as well, but I think Ria really hit the hammer, or hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, no, I think those are both great messages. Ria, what you said about having a female role model is so incredibly important. And part of the reason I started this podcast was, so that younger girls, high school or even like younger middle school, can have like a role model who's just a couple years older than them, who might just be in like college or even high
Absolutely.
school.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys are going to be the role models of so many people. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, like, when we were younger, like, even in middle school, I remember I had a, teacher who, like I remember we were in the shop class, and he was like, "Okay, all the girls go over there and sweep up the sawdust on the floor. You guys can handle that, and all the guys come over here. You guys can help me carry the wood and do the manly tasks." And I just remember thinking, like, "What? Crazy." Just being able to prove all of the haters wrong,
Yeah.
and keep pushing and being able to
Yeah.
accomplish what we've worked for over the
No,
years.
totally. Like, I didn't personally have a mentor, like a female role model in high school that I personally knew. Like, my first experience with that was when I met Chloe, our president, last year at Rover, and that was, like, so incredibly special to me. So, like, definitely seek out those relationships.
Yeah, definitely. And last question, if you had to give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? I know that's a hard one.
I mean, I would just tell her that it's all worth it in the end and it will all pay off. I mean, I worked so hard in high school to be able to get into college, and in college, you work so hard to be able to get good grades and accomplish everything that you want and be able to put time into your projects and stuff. And there have been times where you go like two all nighters in a row and you're like, man, is this worth it? And I mean, ultimately, in the end, it really is.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a very similar thing that I would say to my younger self is to just, like, continue doing what I like doing and things will, like, fall into place.
Yeah, and I think those are both really great messages. Just being able to I mean, as a high schooler, I can say, in my junior year, it's a lot of it's just like, oh my gosh, like it's so much to do, to get into college, to do this and that. But yeah, hearing stories from people like you, and just hearing like all the things that you guys are doing is incredible. So yeah, I think those are both really great messages. Isabel and Ria, thank you guys so much for joining me. I've loved hearing about everything that you guys are working on and the things you're excited to keep working on too. And Rover sounds like such an incredible student organization, and I'm so glad I got to learn more of it through you guys. But yeah, thank you guys both so much for being here.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having us.
Yeah. And for
Yeah.
everyone listening, if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you think would love to hear it too, and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. So thank you so much for tuning in to the She Persist podcast, and until next time, keep persisting.
Once again, I'm your host, Emma Zareen, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the She Persists podcast.